Dari, hello. It's the middle of April 2021, and this is an end-of-term review for the Salomon Speedcross 5 GTX, a Gore-Tex shoe. So on the left, you will see the slightly knackered shoe, and on the right, the replacement shoe, which, as you can see, looks remarkably similar. I think the purpose of this video is not only to tell you about the Salomon Speedcross 5 shoe as a trail running shoe, but also to try and persuade you that it makes the ideal general purpose shoe. So first of all, let's talk about the trail running aspect of the situation. So Salomon make a bazillion different varieties of Speedcross shoe. This is the Speedcross Gore-Tex, the GTX version of the shoe, and it's the general purpose version. They do slightly different Speedcross variants, and indeed I've got a dry weather Speedcross shoe with a gaiter that comes up here. So there's no like lip here, it literally looks like a sock. So there's some specialist versions of the shoe. This is the general purpose version of the shoe, and it's a shoe that I would take on any wettish trail run. So that could be a British summer morning where the grass is still quite wet. It's obviously a waterproof shoe, meaning that it's made from Gore-Tex. Let's take the new one out of the way. So all of these seams here are waterproof, and if this shoe goes underwater at this point, it's not going to let water in, as opposed to many of the other trail running shoes which have a breathable membrane here, such that sweat comes out, but also water would go in. So with this shoe, nothing goes in unless the water level goes above this point here. This is over a 1-year-old shoe. It's been used on every single general purpose trail run, even track run, even road runs sometimes. So after hundreds of hours of use, let's look at the sole. That's the sole, so you can see it's pretty worn out. Now actually, what I would say with this shoe is that it's not that great to run on road with, because if you look at the new shoe, you've got these lugs. And these lugs means to say that if you're running on the road, all the pressure is on these points here, and it makes for a kind of uneven running experience. So ironically, when the shoe is down to this level, it's a very good road and trail shoe, except for the fact that its trail abilities are curtailed by the fact that the tread should look like this, and it's now looking like this. So it doesn't make for much of a good trail shoe, but so long as it's waterproofed and hasn't suffered the damage you're about to see, it can still do quite well. So what happens after a year of hard use? Well, you can see that there's a hole here, and it's obviously no longer waterproof because water will just tank in through there. So what happens when a waterproof shoe gets wet is all the water stays in the shoe, and you end up running with kind of a soggy sock full of water, with the water not going anywhere. Yeah, so not recommended. These shoes are about £150, so they're quite expensive. So anyway, I thoroughly recommend them as trail running shoes after a year and hundreds of hours of use. The only, apart from the waterproof damage, you can see that the colour here is just starting to scuff, but it's not completely ruined. What else? Well, the reason why I bought another pair, so this is the replacement, the right foot replacement, you can see looks pretty much identical. The reason why I was so eager to buy a new pair is that this is actually my general purpose shoe. So this is the shoe that I would wear if I'm just nipping out to the cave to get something, if I'm just nipping out to the garage to get something. And the reason is all to do with this quick lacing system. This shoe can be put on in seconds, just like a pair of sandals. And you don't even need to do it up. If you notice, this lace doesn't drag along the ground. I mean, this might sound like a terribly small point, but this is the absolute genius of this shoe when you're not using it for trail running. So I use this shoe as a general purpose shoe for walking around town, for walking around the countryside. I don't have specialised walking boots at all. This is the shoe that I will be wearing. It's almost completely black, so it doesn't look like a garish. Other garish colours are available, but this is the black version, and so you could wear this with a suit. You'd look a little bit strange, but you're not going to be looking totally weird with a red shoe or a blue shoe on. And the fact that this lace, believe it or not, doesn't dangle down, means to say that you can just slip the shoe on and use it just like a sandal, if you like. You can also just do it up in seconds just by pulling that down, but you don't need to. So there you have it. It's the Speedcross 5 GTX, the Gore-Tex version. I thoroughly recommend it as a general purpose shoe. I've had about, well, I think over a year of use out of this shoe. I would have expected perhaps Speedcross 6 to make an appearance, but you know what? It just hasn't happened. So yeah, I was forced to buy the Speedcross 5. The old shoe is going to go to recycling. I will, of course, save the insole here. Take this out. So I'll take this to recycling, but I'll save this insole. And why will I do that? That's because insoles can be replaced. So if you go on a long trail run, for example, and you do get quite wet, especially you're on a long race and you want to have a halfway point stop, and you don't want to carry you don't have the ability to have a spare pair of shoes at the halfway point. Perhaps you want to just change insoles, so you can slip a new insole in, take the wet and soggy insole out, put the new dry insole in, and it makes quite a good change. So yeah, I'd always recommend to keep your insole if you're buying identical shoes. Okay, Darry, thanks for watching, and that concludes my positive review of the Speedcross 5 GTX.